Right, Doom v Vamos v Vamos Epicureans. This is the Marvel Epic Collection Podcast One-Shot Edition. I'm your host, Nick Smith. I will be joined by Stojr in, well, just a little bit. We're participating in Kurtis Findlay's Epic Marvel Podcast Reading Club, and this one-shot is going to be our brief thoughts on today's issue, which is Uncanny X Men number 147, Rogue Storm. Alright, so the X-Men find their way out of each of their individual traps set by Doom, with the exception of Storm, whose claustrophobic fear and anger has been growing in her. Well, Wolverine and Nightcrawler are able to capture Doom and force him to release Storm. When she's free, though, Storm becomes unleashed and angry, with plenty of comparisons drawn between what is happening to her and what happened previously to Jean as the Dark Phoenix. Ultimately, the X-Men talk her down, get her to calm down the storm that she's creating, and then basically make nice with Doom to have him release Arcade. Now, I have similar thoughts to this issue as I did the previous issue. This was a little bit better with the pacing, and there were more things about the art that I liked, such as Nightcrawler being the focus of the recap page. The ending was really odd, I thought. After all, Doom just kind of gives up Arcade. It seemed a little too simple, or that squeezing in Storm going mad just left the story without the space to fully wrap up the Doom and Arcade storyline. Either way, it was fine, it was fun, maybe not the greatest pacing in the world. I do have a no prize award for this one. The Eye of the Storm award goes to Dave Cockrum for the third panel on page 93. Having Storm's face made up of the winds and the lightning as she's trying to regain control is just a visually interesting way to convey her connection to the weather and to convey her power. So I thought that was just really well done, very interesting there. Alright. That is all from me. I'm going to pass this on to Stojr, and then we'll wrap it up after we hear his thoughts.
We're going to talk about issue 147, Rogue Storm. This is an issue that starts off with Nightcrawler using his powers in some interesting ways. So I really like that we get a Nightcrawler-centric storyline in the beginning here of him infiltrating the castle, first escaping the castle and surviving this fall within the storm. We get I feel like an unnecessary recap page, but I guess back then, this is the third month of this storyline, so it's not unprecedented that you might want to remind the readers of some things that are going on there. I like that each of the X-Men independently figure out and break out of their traps, showing that they're not, they don't necessarily need to rely on Nightcrawler or the dominoes to fall per se, and they can, figure out how to get outside of what Doom has laid out here for each of them, because Doom doesn't really understand each of them to begin with, right? He's used to fighting the Fantastic Four. He doesn't know these people specifically. Wolverine immediately clocks that Storm is an android of some sort off the Westworld set. So he attacks her rather. And then we get Storm breaking loose finally after Nightcrawler and Wolverine are able to force Doom to free her. And she's just sort of drunk with power. She's been building up all of this power as she's been scared and frustrated and angry. And, she's kind of Superstorm at this point in time. And nobody's able to talk her down until somebody mentions Jean being drunk with the Phoenix Force and how that all impacted her. So she goes and releases all that power, kind of gives that Storm back and dissipates things until we get to the end where Doom is not going to miss an opportunity to flirt with Storm, right? He's going to, apologize to Storm. He's going to, let them go and leave as, neither friends nor enemies, as Storm says. But, at the end of the day, he's going to look for any opportunity to stay with Storm and have dinner with her again. You got to respect that. Game recognizes game at the end of the day. So I like the conclusion to this. I think it's a fun story arc. I think that overall, if I'm kind of rating the arc together over the 3 or 4 issues that we just went through, I feel like there's a little bit of fat in here that could have been cut out. I feel like it doesn't need to be. I think it's 4 issues. It didn't need to necessarily be 3 or 4 issues. They could have cut out, a half of an issue to an issue in this and tightened everything up. I think it's a really good storyline in this arc, though. and I'm glad it's here. I like the X Men interacting with Doom. Don't really have any necessarily complaints about this issue per se. I think it's pretty solid, and looking forward to seeing what Cyclops has been up to while we've been playing around with Doom.
All right, thank you, Stojr, and thank you, the audience, for watching and listening. We'll be back again tomorrow with another one-shot, and you can check us out on YouTube, where we post the episode schedules and currently have a poll for you to choose which Epic Collection we will read and review in March. Check that out, and go ahead and subscribe to this channel if you like what we're doing. I put Stojr and my link trees in the description if you ever want to find us on the internet. So thanks again, and we'll catch you next time for another episode that will be just as epic.